Okay, today we are playing a game on Lijiang Tower. The average SR of this game was 2,808, and we will be playing Soldier the entire way through. And our current team composition is D.Va, Zarya, Reaper, Soldier 76, Mercy, and Ana. So, wholly unremarkable in every way and not worth talking about. So, in the email accompanying, it said a couple of things. This is someone we've seen before, and it says in the email when we last saw them they were at gold, and now they are at 2,850-ish, so congratulations on climbing, and they want to make the final push into Diamond. This email is a week old, so you might already be in Diamond for all I know, in which case also congratulations for that as well. So it also says, what I want to learn in particular is, when do I know when to ult, as well as what are the general rules of thumb for knowing when a fight is lost or won. So I'll answer the second question first, because that one's easier. Basically, the way I go by it is, if either team has a numbers advantage of 2, it's probably over. Sometimes, as soon as one team is down one person, that's enough if the teams are, like, relatively even in terms of skill, but generally, more often it's going to be as soon as one team is down by 2, they have probably lost that fight. Because just missing one person can be pretty terrible, but if you're missing 2 people, yeah. And if they're like if they've not missing anyone, or you're at like 3 and they're at like 5, it's probably over. 2 people is like often too much. Especially since you're probably missing a tank or a healer by that point as well. It's probably too much by that point. So the other question, when do I know when to ult? I assume this is for Soldier in particular. So with Tac Visor, if you have an Ana, like we do in this situation, you usually want to try and coordinate it with Nano Boost as well, so that affects it. But just generally speaking, usually you want to see people already out of position when you start using it, right, the way Mercy is right now, if you see Mercy use Valkyrie, just use Tac Visor and kill the Mercy, because it is definitely worth trading Tac Visor just to kill the Mercy out of her Valkyrie, because it ain't happening any other way, at least not consistently. So if you see a Valkyrie, just use that. The other thing is, if somebody's out of position, you usually want to see like 1 or 2 people out of position, and then if you use Tac Visor, you'll definitely kill them. That's when you want to do it. Also, you want to try and make sure there's no shields in the way as well. Like, if you see 2 people kind of standing out in the middle of nowhere, but they're right next to Reinhardt, then it's probably not going to work unless you just saw his shield break. D.Va we don't really have to worry about anymore, because Defense Matrix doesn't last very long. If there's like a Winston there or an Orisa, and you think they can probably reposition their barrier in time to actually block you, then you want to think about that. But basically, you just want to see people out of position. You want to be able to see people running around and be like, if I use Tac Visor now, and assuming nothing else terrible happens, I put it on, they die, that's when you use it. If people are like hovering near things they can duck out of the way of, then Tac Visor is very bad to use, because they're just going to disappear behind cover and you're not going to be able to shoot them. Same as if it's a shield, it's just not going to work. So that's the basic thing. You want to see people that you know you can kill with it, and they aren't just going to get out of the way. You generally also don't want to use it if it's a map that permits you to be standing on high ground, and you think you're going to use Tac Visor in the near future. Try to be on the high ground first, because using Tac Visor on the low ground is risky, because it's easier to get killed, and also it's easier for people to disappear out of your line of sight as well, so that's not possible on every map. Like on Lijiang Tower, there are not that many places where you can actually get the high ground advantage, so it doesn't affect every map, but that can affect it also. Those are like the main things though, because the biggest thing is just, as long as people are out in the open and you can kill them, that's what you're looking for. You don't want to just use it if people are near cover or near shields. Or you're gonna get fucking, like, murdered as soon as you're gonna use it as well. Like, if there are people in position that you could kill, but you're surrounded by the enemy team, probably still don't want to also use it, but I assume that one is probably self-explanatory. So, hopefully that answers your questions. If not, please let me know and I'll try to expand further. So let's start the game. So we're on Garden to start with. We are talking in the background, but we're muted, so we can't hear what's being said. That's fine. I don't care about communication that much anyway, because, God, I hate talking to people, frankly. Especially in Overwatch, where people are salty little bitches, you know? You know, you know. Alright, so we just saw Tracer. So we do actually get an opportunity to kill Tracer right now because she's just been tranked by Anna. And we've got our Helix Rocket. Tracer's already taken some damage, so the Helix Rocket probably can just kill her by itself at this point, but we can also, like, get a shot in at the same time as she's getting back up. So we could kill this Tracer right now, but we elect to just leave her there sleeping, and then we get hooked in here and we get killed, but there's a Mercy in the game, so it doesn't matter. You also... Zarya kind of, like, gets out of the way on this one. Like, you don't want to be the one at the front line, as we are during a large period here, and then, like, Zarya gets out of the way and we get hooked. If we're over there killing the Tracer, this doesn't matter, you know. We could be standing further back, though, regardless. In spite of, like, the Tracer, like, as soon as we see a Roadhog as well, oh god, get out of the way, like, get out of the way of the Roadhog, but he kind of comes out of the corner, like, already hooking. So, it's okay, Mercy's in the game, so it doesn't matter that much, because the pick no longer happened, because that's what Mercy gets to do. So, Tracer is actually still running around during this period. She never actually gets killed, so... This is something that could affect this fight quite easily, because we had the opportunity to kill this lady and she's still here. So we are slowly advancing into people that we're shooting at as well, which we don't want to be doing because we're playing Soldier. We don't want to be right next to people. Soldier is at his weakest when he's right next to people. Granted, there is also a Tracer behind us, which is, of course, also spooky, so we are kind of getting, like, hustled this way a little bit, but we don't want to be moving into the people that we're shooting at. So McCree is also behind us. He went around the entire outside, so... You kind of have to infer that it happened, but this is something that we could have seen coming, because we see McCree here, and we start seeing him going that way. We never actually see him go around the corner, but we never see him again until he's behind us, so... We can kind of infer that he's doing that from the way he was positioning when we lost sight of him, so... If we're a little bit more aware of that, maybe Mercy doesn't die to McCree right here. Also, Tracer is still running around. Tracer ends up killing Anna, so... We had the opportunity to probably change the outcome of this fight by killing the Tracer and being more aware of what McCree was up to. You kind of have to infer it, but from like the way he was positioning, I don't think it's too much of a leap to assume that he's going around the backside. Generally, if you see someone and then you don't see them anymore, they're probably up to some shit, and you should try and figure out what shit they're up to. Especially if it's someone like McCree. Like, generally, we got hit by Hanzo, you know, happens. Sometimes, you're walking around, damn, got hit with the Sonic Arrow, and then got shot again. Didn't die from the Sonic Arrow hitting him in the head, though, so that's cool. So McCree's using McCree's not using Tac Visor. That would be very spooky if McCree could use Tac Visor. Instead, he's using High Noon. Can you imagine if McCree had Tac Visor? Jesus Christ, McCree would be like the best hero in the game. He'd be like Soldier, but with none of the drawbacks. So, we are in a bit of a scuffle right now. We get shot by Hanzo. We don't have an actual shield to stand behind, so... it's very difficult for us to actually advance into them, and it's also going to be difficult for us because, they have, like, Hanzo and McCree damaging us the entire time, and, like, Hanzo, if we don't have a shield, well, he's going to hit somebody eventually, isn't he? You know, the law of large numbers says we're going to get hit eventually. So, we are currently going in as the front line, which we don't want to be doing because we're playing Soldier. I have no space against the Hanzo. Yeah, you know, it's going to be a problem. We are, like, advancing in ahead of the rest of our team, though, which we don't want to be doing as Soldier because we're not very good at that. So, their Hanzo died. He fell off the map doing that, so great, awesome, because, like, all the people that died on our team are alive again because of Mercy, so hooray, we get to just go in and start fighting. So, we see Mercy floating around. If I come around the corner and I see Mercy just, like, out in the open, because we see her start using it over there, and then she starts coming over this way, there's the possibility she gets out of the way from this position, but, like, she couldn't have, because Reaper started using Death Blossom, so she would have been left in a very awkward position, but we couldn't have known that. If I see Mercy in this position, I'm just gonna start using Tac Visor, and then she does this, and, like, we've got enough time to kill the Mercy at this point. Like, she can't zip to somebody fast enough to get out of line of sight if we, like, start going back across using Tac Visor while we're using Tac Visor. Mercy wouldn't also not be using Tac Visor. That would be very spooky. So, it turns out that Lucio had Sound Barrier, which is, of course, very awkward as well. So, this ends up being very awkward because we use Tac Visor at the exact same time Zarya uses Graviton. And, like, we use it a little bit after, but we started pushing the button right as she started pushing the button. It ends up being very awkward because if the enemy team is in Graviton, you don't want to use Tac Visor because the whole advantage of Tac Visor is you don't have to aim, right? You just hit them. But if they're in the Graviton, you don't need Tac Visor because they aren't moving. Nano Boost also got used, so it ended up being very awkward just from the timing, but that would have been the time to use it. If Zarya didn't use Graviton, that would have been the time to use it, so it's unfortunate that she used Graviton at the exact same time. So we got picked off by McCree, which is of course bad, but we've got Mercy in the game still, so it doesn't matter. McCree is still over there shooting people. He has killed Anna, which is bad, but we still have another main healer because we have Mercy. And then we get picked off by McCree again. We know McCree is over here, so we have to be, like, careful about what we're doing, especially seeing as we're not at full HP right now. In fact, we're low enough that one headshot just kills you. We know McCree's over here, so we have to be careful about exposing ourselves to him when we're low HP, because that can happen. And just in general, we do have to be kind of careful because, you know, he's over there and McCree can spike you to death quite quickly, as we saw earlier when we got spiked to death in 2 shots. So, most of our team is currently dead. We just get shoved off the edge by Whole Hog right as our team is dying anyway, so it ends up not actually really mattering anyway. So we think about changing. And we don't actually... No, we don't. Okay, I thought I was crazy for a second. So, that's unfortunate that we do that, because we dropped the ult charge that we had by doing that. So, however, this round also doesn't look like it's got super long left, so it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. Ooh, the hook just, like, diddling us from the side. So, that round didn't go super well. It's possible it goes differently if that first fight goes differently, because the first fight in a lot of cases can decide the tempo for the entire rest of the round. But we'll never know, because that happened in a parallel dimension. But I do think we could have played the first fight significantly better, because we had the potential to kill one of the people, and then we could have potentially stopped Mercy from getting killed, which is, of course, also quite a big deal. Anna also died to Tracer, so we could have potentially saved both the supports' lives. So, now they have Doomfist over here, and he wasn't allowed to do that, and now he's dead because he wasn't allowed to do that. He probably won't learn his lesson, though, because people rarely do. So, we have lost our Anna because she has been killed by Tracer. We never see Tracer, do we? No, we never see Tracer. So if we're looking at the kill feed right now, we know Tracer's behind us because we never saw her in the front, but she just killed somebody in our back line. So she has to have gone around the backside to do that. She is now just at the front line with the rest of her team because now they're trying to aggress into the point. We are, like, very fidgety. Well, I try not to, like, remark on aim too much, because I find aim better to not be too terribly helpful advice. But, like, this is all very fidgety and very panicky, it looks like. Like, just be chill, right? This is this is why I'm bad at aiming. The problem people have is that they get too flustered about it, and they start, like, overthinking it and panicking, like, oh god, and they're, like, twitching everywhere, like, oh... Just, like, be chill. If you watch people who are, like, really good at have really good aim, almost universally, they're just very calm and very deliberately move their mouse around, even in the middle of, like, a hectic melee. They just, like, very calm and very deliberate, so, like, I try not to remark on that too much, because I find, like, remarking on people's aim is not too terribly helpful, but, like, it's very fidgety, just, like, deep breath, chill, you know? That's why I'm bad. I know that much. So, quite a few of our team are dead right now, and we get punched in the face. It's a very awkward point to fight on as Soldier, just because you tend to get forced into these very confined fights. And we get hustled, like, we get, like, forced over in this direction as well, because we were dodging the pulse bomb, and then, oh, it all goes terrible. The fight, in general, went really badly, especially since we lost one of our healers right at the start of the fight. They lost their Doomfist right at the start of the fight, but that's not as bad as, losing your healer. So, Genji has decided to die at the absolute worst possible time, because you'll notice that Genji has died right as everyone else has respawned, which, as we know, puts him massively out of sync with our team. However, Mercy is in the game, so it's not as bad as it should have been. Mercy is now down a 30-second cooldown, but at least now we get to actually have this push that we wouldn't have gotten to have if Genji had died, and we didn't have res. And that's why Mercy is really strong, amongst many other reasons. So they have lost their Tracer, and Doomfist is very badly trying to kill himself right now. He uses his ultimate, it's terrible, he doesn't kill anybody, Doomfist is dead, Tracer is, like, respawning by this point, but she's still gotta do some traveling, so now is, like, our time. McCree is now dead as well, we've got Tac Visor, there's no reason we should lose this fight, and they just lost their Mercy. So, this fight is over at this point. Like, there's no way they're down too many people, and too many important people, no less, as well. Doomfist has just fucking murdered our Mercy, which is very sad, but we have killed Doomfist, and Doomfist's death is relatively out of sync with the rest of his team as well, so that's good. Since we know Mercy is dead, and we're playing Soldier, we can reposition quite quickly because Sprint is a surprisingly good mobility option. We can actually, like, go back around this corner. I'm about to point with my hand again. Like, if we go around this corner, we can get over into the doorway and kind of, like, try to get Mercy back quickly. Because we can reposition very quickly, and then we can, like, we don't have to come back around this way. If, like, this way has suddenly become scary, we can go back around the other way, but, like, we can get Mercy back slightly quicker. Which can be important because she died at roughly the same time as someone else on their team, so they're gonna be roughly in sync, so if we can get, like, Mercy back slightly quicker, that can affect how a fight goes. And we aren't, like, urgently needed over here right now, because kind of nothing's happening. Our Mercy ends up getting killed again anyway by Roadhog. Where was Roadhog at when this happened? Like, where was their Roadhog at? Oh, he's waiting by their spawn. That's what he just... Well, by our spawn. That's what Mercy just said. Okay. And yeah, now Mercy's behind... He's behind us right now. Okay. I was like, how the fuck did Roadhog get her? Okay, so... We end up in a really awkward position, because you might remember a second ago we were standing in here, but then, like, we got uppercutted over the wall and put in this really weird position. So... This is not a good time to use Tac Visor because we have been given information by Mercy as to where Roadhog is. We don't even need to be told this by Mercy because we can infer this just from the kill cam. The kill feed. Because we know Mercy just died, so we know she was on her way back. Mercy never got back to us, but she died to Roadhog, so that means Roadhog is somewhere on our side of the map, because how else could he have gotten her on the way back? We get bumped over here, which is on our side of the map. Mercy's also telling us that he's by our spawn, so this is a more direct route. This is a more direct way to know that he's right behind us, but we can infer this just from the kill feed as well. So, because we know Roadhog is behind us, and we can figure this out from multiple ways, we know he's behind us, this is not a good time to use this, because it's a good time to use it because we can try and kill Mercy and Lucio with it, but it's not a good time to use it because somebody quite scary is standing right behind us, and he does indeed kill us. So, we could have known he was there, even in spite of the conversation, even in spite of the communication, so we shouldn't have used Tac Visor in that position. We do put the moves on him right there, which feels pretty good, and we have killed him, and we got 41% of our ult back purely off of Roadhog. Thanks, buddy. Small loan of half of our ultimate's charge. So we get back over here, and miraculously, considering the last few seconds rather, have been kind of awkward, we're still just winning the fight. Doomfist is helping us out a lot because he's performing a lot of illegal maneuvers. First off, he picked Doomfist, which is a bad form in general. But he's then electing to play Doomfist very badly on top of that. So, he's being very helpful to us right now. Oh, I remember when I was gonna be the best Doomfist in the world, but then, like, they made the hitbox super small, and he's kinda janky punching people into the walls, and I was like, this is just not worth the effort, I might as well just play McCree. You know, so we get the bomb tossed on us right there, and it kills us. You know, we're playing Soldier, we can try and sprint, but, we had time that we could have just started sprinting away from it, and maybe survive, but we lose the Mercy regardless, which is always going to be sad, of course, because when your Mercy dies, you're generally pretty sad about it. So we have, they only have 50%, 50% progress on the point made right now, so it's not urgent. It's not, like, terribly urgent right now. We've probably got another 2 pushes in before it's, like, completely over. And we've almost got Tac Visor. Here comes Doomfist again. Doomfist jumps up and punches us in the face, but he's dead. We get rezzed. Okay, great. We're still missing Genji. Genji's alive now. Look at that. Now we're not down anybody. Ho ho ho. So, Ana uses this on us, and this is very sad because we're oh so close to having Tac Visor. And then we start using Tac Visor partway through this. By this point, I don't think you really need to use the Tac Visor anymore, because, like, Mercy we can see is gonna die, so Valkyrie's gonna get stopped, and we have the numbers advantage, because, also, like, all this is happening, like, we feel like we're the team with the initiative right now, moving in here. I don't think you need to use the Tac Visor to make this happen, because Mercy's dead, we have the numbers advantage because they're still missing Doomfist, and they're missing their Mercy as well now. So we have a 2-man numbers advantage, which, as we said earlier, is generally the rule of thumb that I go by. We've probably won the fight. So we probably... we're still nano-boosted. Like, Soldier isn't terrible with nano-boost, even if he doesn't use Tac Visor, because he still does, like, damage, you know? So we probably don't need to use Tac Visor to make it happen, but by the same token as well, if we win the fight, we probably win the round. So the other argument is, well, you might as well use it to make sure that you win the fight. But I follow the line that if you don't need to use it, you shouldn't use it, because then you can use it in the future, when you might need it. But at the same time, you don't want to be the dude that holds his ult, and then it turns out you needed the ult. So it's complicated, you know, it's complicated. Anyway, so it's 1-1 now. And we're on Control Center? Control Center or Control Tower, I can never remember. Same thing. Pretty good map to play Soldier on, because this one has long lines of sight. This is also the only map on Lijiang Tower where you can realistically have a high ground advantage, because there's the thing above the point, and then there's the window as well, so... also, kind of like at the top of this ramp is a very slight high ground advantage, you know, like... So we've lost our Roadhog, but it's okay because Mercy's in the game, which is very cool, so now we get to continue fighting, even though that would in most other circumstances, that would be terrible. However, we then lose our Genji as well, which is sad, because Mercy can't res him right now, because res is 30-second cooldown. This Tracer is still, like, around us right now, and their team is quite scary, in general, because they have a Roadhog, there's a Tracer and a Reaper running around. But we're doing a pretty good job of building our ult up very quickly, because we almost have Tac Visor, and we're still in, like, the first fight right now. So Mercy went over here to res their McCree, and she wasn't allowed to do that, and now she's dead, and McCree died again anyway. Now, Ana also has her ultimate, and we get to just use Tac Visor. We do have a 2-man numbers advantage at this point, so... and one of them, and they are missing their main healer as well by this point, so... Even though Ana ults you, and that's generally the sign like, oh, I'm gonna use Tac Visor, I don't think you need to use Tac Visor again, because we're already winning the fight, and also Soldier is not that bad, even, like, just nano-boosted by himself, he's not that bad, because he still does damage, and it's still, like, pretty easy to land damage, because he has an automatic weapon and some rockets, you know. Especially since one of the people who's still alive at the time was Roadhog, who you generally don't need to use Tac Visor to hit, as well, so... Probably didn't need to use it right there. So now we've gained quite a bit of tempo, though. Genji's going to go in and use his Dragon Blade over here. This is largely meaningless because they have to reset right now anyway. As we can see here, this is how we know we've won the game. The enemy team has started to tilt first. as we know in Overwatch, the team that tilts first is the team that loses. They do lose, by the way. Not to spoil the surprise or anything. But it is a universally true statement. The team that tilts first is the team that loses. Not even just in Overwatch, just in general. You play in League of Legends, you play in Dota, the team that tilts first is going to be the team that loses. Team Fortress 2, if, you still play that fucking ancient game, that was invented when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. So here comes Reaper. Reaper is probably pretty close to having Death Blossom right now, so he is pretty scary. But now he's fucking dead also. We hear High Noon start. We're on Lijiang Tower. We haven't seen McCree in a while, so we can infer McCree is probably on top of the point, honestly, because that's where it tends to be happening from. So, now, this is where I would use TAC Visor, because we can see that their Mercy is using Valkyrie. And it's a little bit hairy at first, because we're, like, low HP, but then this is the point where I'm like, alright, we're gonna survive. That's scary also, but he gets tranked, and we end up waking him up immediately afterwards, which is very awkward. I would use TAC Visor right now, because if we just poke our face in this room, we can kill Mercy, which is the big deal. And, like, Roadhog's over here, so he's not about to kill us, and then we can just clean up inside the room, because there's nobody in here that can use it, that can really stop us. We use it eventually, but now it's a little bit more awkward to use it, because the enemy team has actually started to regroup in this room. And, like, Mercy's already gotten, like, all the value out of Valkyrie by this point. We could have used it sooner, basically. If you're gonna use your ult, you do want to use it as soon in the fight as possible, because the idea is you still want as many of your team to be healthy and alive as possible when you're using your ult, so that, you can benefit off of the probable inevitable tempo gain you will gain off of using your ultimate. What a fantastic sentence that was, but I think you get the idea of what I was going for. So we get hooked by Roadhog, which is very scary, but he gets tranked, and then also D.Va's holding Defense Matrix over us, so overall he's very sad. We're just gonna win this fight, like, there's not much to say, we've just slowly been rolling over them this entire time. Not even slowly, quite quickly we've just rolled over them all here. Lucio's dead. Lucio's quite staggered compared to the rest of his team as well. Not overly so, but minorly so. Every little helps. So we're most of the way towards having TAC Visor again. They still have a Roadhog, so we're gonna build this up pretty quickly, because Roadhog is like a big old ult battery if you don't play him correctly, and most people don't play him correctly. That is one of the worst D.Va ults in recorded history, and the worst part is it still gets a kill. Because we watch, and she throws it in, and just, tucks it very neatly in the corner. And it still kills McCree, which is the very sad, like, the sad part is, she still gets a kill with it. And it's absolutely terrible. There's no justice in the world. So, fight breaking out right now. We shouldn't be standing this close to the point, really. Like, this right here shouldn't happen to us, because we should be standing further back, because we're playing Soldier. That could make all the difference, because, like, both teams are relatively close to, winning the game at this point. But Mercy's still in the game. She didn't get killed by McCree's High Noon, which also happened. And now we have, like, a lot of ultimates. Mercy has used Valkyrie. We actually get to kill Mercy out of this Valkyrie, which is unbelievable. A Mercy just died out of Valkyrie without somebody having to use their ultimate to make it happen. Isn't that incredible? So, now we've been nano boosted, which is nice because we've got Roadhog right all up in our grill at the time. So, it helps out a lot. And we end up winning the round. Like, we win the round. Look, it's gonna come as no great surprise the way this fight started going. We win the round. We just have to actually clean everyone off the point. You know how it be. Yeah, ult party, like 27 ultimates happened on that point right there. Everyone's got gold weapons. Look at that. How shiny. McCree got play of the game. Oh, look, here's where he snuck up behind us. How about that? Oh, he got there in the end. And that's it. Wow, that was it? 70% kill participation is a fucking lot of kill participation. Mercy had 58. That's a fucking lot as well, actually. God damn, what a violent game. And yet, remarkably, 25% of the team's hero damage was only 14k. Well, almost 15k. That's a lot of kill participation. Good job. So there wasn't, like, any, like, huge overarching thing that that stood out to me. Alt execution was probably the biggest thing, where I don't think we used Tac Visor that well throughout the game. But we already talked about that, so I'm not going to belabor the point right now. Nothing else, like, really stood out. We are standing quite close to the enemy team in a lot of situations, but, Lijiang Tower kind of forces you on that as well. Like, Control Tower, we could have been standing further back quite a few times, but, like, Night Market, you know, you just get forced to stand next to people on that map. That's just how it is. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. Really the biggest thing that stands out is right at the start of the game when we could have killed the Tracer, and we could have seen the McCree coming up behind us, and that might have changed the fight, the very first fight in the game, which can decide the entire game, because the first fight dictates a lot of the tempo for the rest of the round. So that's like the biggest thing, honestly. There were no like other huge overarching issues that really stood out to me though. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I didn't answer your questions from the email adequately, let me know and I'll try to expand further. And I hope you found the video helpful.